So
Got
good
it.
evening, everyone. We have author Frank Thayer here, as well as myself, William Vanstone. So we're here tonight to discuss the launch. We'll be launching it on April 31st, Walpurgis night, the Vanstone Tarot. So yeah, I guess I can get into it a little bit. I consider this to be really just a prototype. Things didn't go quite as well as I planned. I have the original illustrations here, which I'm going to show
Oh,
shortly. But
excellent.
few things, the contrast, a little bit off, but they were in silver and hologram. And I thought, modern day scanners would, that it would come through with a modern day scanner, but not so. But anyways, I still think it's a solid offering. So they're available on our shop page as a digital download. And if you would like a real physical copy, all you have to do is email suncrosspublications@gmail.com. So I'll get into the cards a little bit. I didn't number them, but I spelt what the card is right here at the very bottom in the Theban alphabet, which is like the witch's alphabet. So this one right here is me, William Vanstone, the Fool. And I guess, yeah, I'll show the original one. That's the original illustration. This is a ripoff of another horror author. His name's Thomas Ligotti, that has a very warped perspective on life. And then that's why I chose this drawing, because ultimately this perspective is foolish. So the whole thing is an elaborate deception. And if you do read my story, Sacred Heart of the Purple Dawn, it's very deceptive. It does have a positive, in the end, a positive message. But yes, it's a dark comedy and all that. You'll have to read it for yourself. But I do insist it's a deception. So yeah, so that's the first card. Second one's the Magician. And it just sort of shows, that's my former friend Eric. He's in my story. He's the drug dealer. The High Priestess. So this is like a vampire priestess. Where did my pile go? Oh, there it is. So yes, obviously you can see that the original ones, it looks much better. The solid, you see all that silver, it just doesn't come through in the cards. But
Yes.
I plan on redoing them all in black and white, and that'll solve the issue. But yeah, they do look. So I'll be putting these in a gallery on the main page. But
Good.
anyways, yeah, I'm going through the cards here, and I'm not letting Frank talk. We were planning on doing some sort of a tarot reading, but I don't even really know where to start. I've never really done a tarot reading. So Frank is far more well-versed in this sort of stuff than I am. Me nerding it up and going through each individual card, I guess, isn't, the best thing to do. I can get into them as we go along, I suppose, finish up explaining the rest of them, just because there's these things that you want to mention. But yeah, I guess, do you have your copy, Frank?
Of course, you sent me a copy of it. And I think the originals you're showing, you can see the detail a lot more clearly. And I think your next iteration will probably enlarge the images so they'll be easily seen by the person who buys the deck or whatever. I got to say that you have done something that I never thought about doing. You actually produce your own Trump's Major from 0 to 21. And that took some doing. I congratulate you for that.
Mine's a modified. It has an extra card, which I guess, yeah, I can show. Well, actually, no, I don't have the original of that. I'll show the card itself. Where is it? The Rebus, which is like a hidden card. It's like a secret. It's not really in most of the mainstream decks, but it's sort of, hold on, I gotta find it. I don't have the original drawing. Just a second. So yeah, I guess, Frank, you can lay out your spread and we'll do a reading here while I'm looking for this. I didn't really script this out. It's sort of just something for the shop page so that people can, put a face to the name and that sort of thing. So
yes. And probably I can do a little background. The tarot has been around since the printing press. And before that, it was a book of images that was used in esoteric groups. And because it's symbolic, it's like alchemy. They can't really say this is occultism. And it led to the playing decks that we have today, the 52 cards and scat deck and so on. But the thing is that the tarot is a book, essentially. You have the Trumps Major, which is I've talked to William about, is really mirrored in the Tree of Life, which is studied by esoteric groups, the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. And then the four suits, which are pentacles, wands, cups, and swords, these are the human values. And you've got court cards, page, knight, queen, king, and you've got anything from ace to 10. And all of those represent people. The court cards represent people. And if you do a reading, these court cards appear as people in your life. And then the other cards have everything to do with material things, with spiritual things, with difficult things, like swords is something that William likes. And then
yes,
cups,
any kind of blade. I personally carry a blade on me at all times.
Ah, there you go. These are a lot more visible than the cards themselves.
It's a shame that just I anticipated that scanners would, it'll all be in a gallery on the website, so you'll see like the pictures.
And we notice you've put in the astrological and alchemical signs, male, female, astrology, that are appropriate to the Trumps Major. So I think that's anybody who looks at one of your cards will see a depth of symbolism, which is really what it is all about. You look at the cards and you try to get inside, what do they really mean? And the more you study them, the more meaning comes out of them. I think you've done that because you've drawn the cards and you've come up with your sense of meaning for each card as you drew it.
Yes, definitely. And I related most of it to the content that's in my story. Like, for instance, right, like this one, this would be the Wheel of Fortune, and I get into some stuff related to Buddhism. I don't want to spoil the whole story, but this is the wheel of samsara, impermanent suffering and death. So yeah, that's the Buddhist wheel there. But anyways, I'm working on, it's in progress, all the suits that Frank was mentioning, pentacles, wands, so on and so forth. But anyways, please do continue, Frank. I'm going to just keep going through them here, and then we'll get in and we'll do our reading, and then that should be it, I guess.
Well, and as you go through the deck, I think that you are affirming that you're also going to do the minor trumps. You're going to go from ace to 10 and the court cards. It's going to be quite a project. But it's appropriate to start with the Trumps Major because they have the most esoteric value. And of course, I have read your story, you have read your story, but there's people out there who still have not.
Yes, of course, and there's plenty of info about it on the website. This again will be in the shop page. So you'll read all about it and you'll see these all in the gallery. It's going to look really nice for our launch date there. So yeah, let me just finish up here. Again, just so you can see, it's in the actual cards themselves, just the contrast isn't the best. It still looks good in my opinion, but yeah, they're definitely way nicer. These are the original ones. But then I do with the actual deck, you can see the frame.
Yes.
Or as Frank, as you've called it, which I like, the watchtowers. I like that. I wasn't familiar with that.
And we see that on most tarot decks. There is on several cards, you have the watchtowers at the corners. And those also represent the archangels in the firmament. And you have, Michael and Gabriel, Ariel, and so on. And so there's a representation there. But most people, I think, are looking for, what does this mean to me? They look at the card and say, can the cards really tell you anything about your life? And in my younger years, the tarot became very popular in the 60s and so on.
Yes.
And there was an explosion of tarot decks. But most people really wanted to know, does this work? Can I do a divination and find out something about what's going on?
So when you say the 60s, you're referring right to Waite and then also to Aleister Crowley.
Right.
And so you actually you gave me those, a very generous gift, an original faux tarot deck, and then there's the Waite deck. Maybe get into that a little bit, the differences with them and all that.
But yeah, you know the history there. And the first deck I ever got was a Waite deck. But as I learned about the Golden Dawn, I realized that Waite and Crowley were bitter enemies.
Yes.
And Crowley came up with something entirely different, because he was, Crowley was a brilliant man, but he was also screwed up. And he did a lot of bad
no kidding.
stuff.
Yes, no kidding.
But we see that with a lot of people who are super intelligent. They do have something to give, but they are often self-destructive. And Crowley was every bit of that. And he liked to destroy other people along with him.
Yes, definitely. So I found it. I'm disorganized. Again, this is just sort of off the cuff. I didn't script any of this out. But yeah, this is, I sort of based my deck on what Frank was talking about, both the Waite and the Crowley deck. But then I modified it further, and I've included this card. I don't have the original illustration. I gave that away to someone. But yeah, it's the Rebus. So do you know, Frank, do you know anything about the Rebus, or?
No, it's never been part of what I studied. And it was something that I didn't hear much about until you started drawing your tarot.
It's fairly obscure, but basically it's the legend of this creature created before Adam and Eve called the Rebus. So a perfect androgynous being. And you can see in a lot of and Satanism appears to be all the rage in our culture these days, especially in Hollywood and the media. I like sort of what Frank gets into with Cotton Mather, sort of outing this stuff to the general public because it's out there. But anyway, so it's this androgynous being, and it's connected with what I think to be the sort of the transhumanist and the transsexual agenda that's going on today. So yeah, it's sort of, but to me, what I thought, it's ultimately the thesis of the tarot is it's sort of two people combining, and then they sort of produce something after, like not necessarily a child, but it's this, you can go through like a psychological transformation, and there's sort of a product at the end of it. So I sort of, this is me and someone that I've been in a relationship with. I'm not going to get too much into it, but this is like the baby that we never had, so to speak.
And I will say this, that even though the esoteric deck didn't have the Rebus, you have this card, which is the world, and you see the beautiful woman dancing. She has male members, so she is androgynous. So that fits with what you were doing.
Yes, definitely. So it's something, again, there's a Wikipedia entry about it. I'm not going to get too much more into it, but I view it sort of like the culmination of it all. Like you can go through this, you're basically, it's like a transmutation. You're going through this psychological process, sort of getting into your unconscious and subconscious mind, and then there's going to be a product at the end of it like that. So anyways, I guess that's enough nerding it up. I've shown the cards, whatever. I guess we can get into a reading. So I'm just going to I'm going to let Frank, you do it, but I'll shuffle the cards here, and then I'll lay out the spread.
I'm not sure how to go about this. I think that I would rather that you do a quick reading and tell me the cards that you find in the reading.
Tell you the names of the cards. Okay.
Saying, what is my week going to be? What is my next move professionally? What is my love life going to be? And then you lay out the cards, and they are supposed, and it requires your intuition to look at these cards and say, I think this means this means that. And I've always read, and I believe it, that most divination is dangerous and it's a waste of time, but the tarot is very clean. You get a true reading from tarot is just like using the I Ching, that the hexagrams of I Ching are very clean, and they're very, very accurate too. So if you will come up with a question you want to ask, lay out the cards and tell us what those cards are, we'll talk about it.
Sure. All right. So I'm thinking of a good question. So yeah, will we sell? Will we be? So we're going to be going. Well, I'll be going to basically like an authors convention. So it's not a comic book convention, but it's like a book festival.
Word on the streets. Yes.
Word on the street in Toronto. And will we meet lots of people? Will we sell books? Will it be a success? I'm going to get a banner, a display. I'm going to have all my art and stuff. It's going to be next level compared to the comic book convention. I've really going to step up my game, but will it be successful? So, okay, I've shuffled them. I'm going to lay them out and I'll tell you which ones are.
Okay, I'll allow you to concentrate and lay out the cards.
And the third one. All right, so the first one is the Hermit. The second one is Strength or Lust.
Well,
and the third one is the Chariot.
All right. So there you have three cards. You have the Hermit, you have Strength or Lust, and then you have the Chariot.
The Chariot.
That's very interesting. Now you have the question about what fortune will you have with this new authors convention? And so the Hermit is essentially William Vanstone going forth with a vision and a project, carrying the lantern. Well, you know, the Hermit is searching for, like Diogenes, he's searching for the honest man. But the Hermit is very much, it's your project. How many people are helping you with this project? Right? Mm-hmm. Nobody. You're out there by yourself, and you're going to set up a table. You're going to have all this material. And so from there, you go to Lust or Strength. And mm-hmm. I'm used to the Strength, so pardon me. But there is
your favorite card, right?
But you have an
mine as well.
You have an upwelling of inner strength, which includes the lower chakras, and you're going to have this feeling of effusion. You're moving out. All these people are coming by your table. You're looking at things. They're looking at you, and you're feeling these this essential. I'm not sure what you'd call it. Essential power that you say, "Hey, I've got a good thing going here, and I want people to recognize it." And then you go to the Chariot. The Chariot is motion. Mm-hmm. This tells me that this project is going to lead to motion. And that sounds positive to me. I mean, you don't get any of the cards that limit. If you got, for example, the Devil or Fate, and that would say you have no control over this. But it doesn't. The three cards you got were dynamic, showing yourself as the Lone Ranger. Yeah. And then you have the middle card, which is a powerful force within you that's coming out, and you're dealing with this with the public. And then finally the Chariot, it's going to lead to motion. And the Chariot is unstoppable. It just goes. So there's a simple reading using divination of the Trumps Major.
Yeah, that's really good. It's basically, yeah, it should be a success. I'm pretty confident. So yeah, that's good. And there's something, yes, definitely very unconscious. I'm not too familiar with doing readings. Really, my interest in tarot was with my family. I was always told these stories about my great grandmother that was French Canadian, And anyways, they let her do like divination, tarot, that kind of stuff. She got sort of the Pope's blessing to do it, like the local
Really?
Catholic clergy people. It was considered, you know, dark, satanic, but they let her do it because she was a sick old lady. She couldn't really do
Wow.
anything else. And then they let her do it. And I heard these sort of stories in my family. And so that would be, yeah, that's my great grandmother. Again, I don't know too much about her. This was my mother and my grandmother sort of talking
That's
about her
fantastic. You know,
as a kid. But yeah, that was sort of, I definitely, it's something that it's been in the back of my mind for a long time. And it was definitely very cathartic to make this. So I just wanted to share that.
wow. Your mother never told me about that. She's told me so much about your family, but she never told me about that. That is very cool. And it
Yes.
just shows the link that you picked it up. Sometimes this stuff skips a generation, and there you are,
There
and
is
you're in the middle of it.
epigenetic memory, and like
Yes.
my name, my alias, I'm not going to tell you my real name, but Vanstone, that would be on my father's side of the family. There was a Vanstone that was at Wild Bill,
Yep.
the Wild Buffalo, whatever, the guy that Wild Bill, whatever
Hickok.
Hickok, yeah, he would travel around. He did the road show or whatever, and he was like a sharpshooter at that. So there's
Well,
something, and then I had an interest in firearms, and so there's something sort of epigenetic going on,
mhm.
kind of.
Wow. Yeah. Gee, I think I had a gun once.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's your
You
the
wouldn't be
idea
an
of
American if you didn't have any. So,
that's right. When a cop stops you here and they say you have any firearms in the car, and you say, of course.
and I'm just a greasy Canadian up here and not currently in possession,
But
although I do have the license. But yeah,
anyway, getting back to the tarot,
yeah,
I think the tarot is a very powerful thing, and if you draw it and you study it, your divination skills will increase. And I haven't done a divination in a long time. And I think there was a time when I said, I don't really want to know what's going to happen. But things turned out all right in most areas. So you can, but with this, you did a very simple little reading. And there it was all laid out, 3 cards. And it was focused on word on the street. And we'll see if it turns out that way. But it looks to me is that's what it's predicting.
yes, definitely. It's would you say that divination, like the way I'm thinking about it, is almost like an advanced intuition, or is it sort of sensing, or um, what's the source of it? I guess, yeah, because I'm thinking intuition, but
But you're right. That's exactly what it is. The cards are images, and of course they fall the way they fall. You shuffle the cards. You don't know what's there until you turn them up. Boom, boom, boom. But your intuition is the super consciousness. That our intuition is not part of our daily life, but it does play a part. Some people are psychic and they see things, and I'm not psychic, but I've seen intuition save my backside many, many times. And you will find the same thing. And you're just applying it to the cards. What does this card mean? And it pops into your mind. Where does it come from? It comes from intuition, which is the higher form of your regular consciousness.
could it also be like a form of sensing? Is that
Yeah, I think so.
similar, or that's yeah,
And
similar
it is
words?
it is in no way supernatural. It is something that resides inside your mind, inside your consciousness. And you're drawing it out using the cards. And I've seen them over the years. A friend of mine and I once, back when I was just in my early 20s, we did readings. And I kept getting good readings. He kept getting bad readings. And he had some very difficult years. Whereas I tended to, even with difficult circumstances, I ended up in Canada. I ended up teaching. I had a very good life, met some wonderful people. And so who knows what's next? But I think tarot is a great tool for study and even for divination as you're starting to learn.
Yes, definitely. So we did pretty good here, like a couple of little awkward, whatever things, but yeah, totally unscripted, ad-libbed, winging it here. Like I just knew, okay, we're going to do a tarot reading and do something. And I
It
can say
worked.
we've done pretty good so far. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else we're missing. I've shown all of them. I guess, yeah, I can get into nerd. We only have maybe like another 5-10 minutes here. So I already nerded it up about the couple of cards there, but I didn't want to just start doing that, and I wanted to get into all this other stuff. So hold on a second.
What is that in your stack of stuff?
This is just all of the originals.
Oh,
I'm just going through.
original.
There's a couple that I just wanted to mention a couple of things. So like this one, the moon. This is the Fujian moon goddess. So she's like a goddess that's worshipped in Fujian province in southern China. There's a big statue of her.
Really?
It's like a 30-foot marble statue in
I
Macau,
didn't know that.
and it overlooks the city.
Wow.
And so and she's a moon goddess. So
Yeah.
how appropriate, right?
And the moon, of course, represents the physical side of life, Hecate and birth and death. And so and also illusion, because it's both the wild and the tame animal. You have the wolf and the dog, and a path that leads to twin towers way in the distance. We're a long way from that.
I guess, yeah, I can show that one next, the Twin Towers. And then this is Bart Simpson, that I made him a little bit grotesque. But then there's conspiracy theories about how the Simpsons predict a lot of stuff. And so there is an episode, and I've gone and verified this, where there's a magazine with Bart Simpson, and it shows 9/11, and people insist that Bart Simpson predicted 9/11. So who really knows?
I did not know that.
So yeah, a little nerd trivia. I'm just giving little nerd details because I'm going to explain it on the website a little bit in the gallery, but why not here a little bit? Then this is the star, but this is the Star of Ishtar, which can also be a sun symbol.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway, yeah. So continue, Frank. I'm just going through them. I'm not really sure. This didn't like temperance art. I just did this. We're both fascinated by snakes. I really dig in your shirt there, Frank, with the.
That's right, I am.
Send me the picture. And then I got the same on my arm here. So then that's the Ouroboros, the infinity.
Most of the people who see you know what Ouroboros is, the serpent that swallows his own tail. And there's the infinity symbol that comes out of that.
There's two different kinds of infinity, right? But
yes,
I'm fascinated by it because it's a symbol that's found worldwide, pretty much in every major religion. There's sects that there's some version of it. It looks slightly different. It's a dragon, it's a wolf, but it's eating its own tail, basically. So why is that? Where's that coming from? Why is it all over the world? So
because it's sort of a primal thought of humans, that they sense that there is no end, their sense of an eternity, and that's what infinity suggests. And it's almost like the Mobius strip, where you're going along on the outside, and all of a sudden it folds under, and you disappear from the world, go inside, and then come back. There's your favorite planet.
Well, no, I'm really I respect far more the resurrection God of the sun. And I do believe Jesus is the sun, the literal sun in the sky, and it's reborn. And in order to survive in the northern hemisphere, we have to have the Judeo-Christian thing and the resurrection, and we have to sort of moderate our we can't live in the golden age like Saturn, but I do find Saturn to be very romantic, and I get into it in my story about the golden age.
And I hope they'll read your story and see that. And of course, the resurrection story goes all the way back to Osiris, and he was brought back. Osiris was put back together again. And tell people, I say the Egyptian religion was a primal religion. It survives to the present day. What do you say at the end of every prayer?
Amen. Which is Amun Ra,
Amun.
Right?
That's right.
Amun Ra, right?
We haven't forgotten.
No,
Good
we
work.
haven't. I'm getting the notification that we only got about 10 minutes here. So yeah, just a couple more cards. Like really, this is just a tease. I want you people, that whoever's watching this, to go read the story. It's a free download.
Right.
My story's free. Just because I have some guilt about everything that happened. It's sort of based on semi-real events. I don't think I deserve to make money from it, and I did it for my own therapy and catharsis or whatever. Frank's versions are available as a print. Mine is just a digital version. It's a choose your own adventure. Anyways, you'll see all of it. If you've come this far and you're watching this video, you've seen it all on the website or whatever. But anyway, yeah, this one. I'm really into Buddhism. Well, studying it, I don't identify as a Buddhist, but when I was over there in Asia, I did find a lot of the sects and different cults and stuff. It was definitely very interesting. So then this is the snake Buddha with the seven. And so the snake is the spinal column and the seven chakras. So hold on a second. I'm going to get a statue. Hold on just a minute.
Oh, yeah, let's see that again.
Yeah, just show it here.
And that's nice quality.
Yeah, it's something I kept, just a little souvenir, and that's the Cambodian Buddha, which I suspect is sort of like the Buddhists sort of were like missionaries, and it was some sort of creepy, well, I get into it a little bit in my story, but it was some sort of a weird, creepy, basically worshiping, shape-shifting reptilians or whatever, or something like that, snake cult. So, yeah.
And most people, when they think of Buddhism, they think of Gautama, but there's so many sects of Buddhism, and they're very complex. So you were able to experience, when you were in Cambodia, you actually have seen some of this, and some of it you've told me are benign and some are kind of creepy.
Yes, I get into it a little bit in my story. I don't want to spoil the whole story, but yeah, there's some sects in Buddhism, right, where they were obsessed with mummifying themselves. So they would meditate and consume a special diet to make themselves into mummies. And then they were considered living Buddhas and then worshipped as like basically being dead but alive at the same time. And then they did sort of scans on them that show that they radiate some kind of something, like almost like in some way they're almost still alive or whatever. I don't really think that, but yeah, it was definitely very, we have a very, here in the West, cuddly version of it. It's compassionate and all this, which is a part of it, which I think
embalming
again,
and sex
or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, definitely a lot of very strange, creepy. Well, just like any religion, right? Christianity, Islam, there are the right, like Catholicism has Opus Dei or
and
something like that.
Indonesia does have the mummy cult. You have certain places in Indonesia where they preserve the bodies, bring them back to talk to them every year. But in Tibet, the idea was to destroy the body completely. When the person died, they threw him down into a deep ravine, so there was nothing left, because they saw that the spirit was not the flesh, which is a good thing to think about. And
yes,
so I think that you've tied a lot of this into your cards, which is, of course, unique, because your deck is unique. It's not the same as anybody else's. And I have to say that I've looked at, many tarot decks. I only have about 6 or 7 left, but I've given a lot of them away, such as you are likely to do. But I think that at the core of it, the same thing, the trumps major, the minors, and used for study. Trumps major are best for study, and the others are used for divination. But the reading you did tonight was very simple and very direct. And what you ended up with was a very clear message. And that's what tarot is supposed to do. You can do it again. Keep working on it.
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of other, more complicated spreads, and there are books and stuff about how to do other kinds of readings and different kinds of readings and stuff. But yeah, it's a good start, and definitely the whole process has been very therapeutic here. We only got about 4 minutes left or so. I think there's some parts I'm going to have to edit here or whatever, but that's no problem. So yeah, so comments, questions, concerns, final things to sort of wrap it up here?
I'm trying to think if there's anything that we have not mentioned.
I've gone through all the ones that just really, that's all just stuff from my story. So if you read the story and then you look at the illustrations, oh, okay, that's going to make a lot more sense. And I don't want to spoil all of it, but I think that's a nice little teaser, you know. Yeah. So.
Right. And you, of course, link your tarot to your story, which was a catharsis to speak of. But other people are going to look at it and say, well, is this stuff any good for my life? And I think that if they're willing to study the tarot, they may come up with some very interesting insights into their personality, into why they're here, what they're doing, and what's going to happen in the future. Not because you can't control the future, because fate, what is it somebody said? He said, we're helpless only against age and fate. The rest of it's up for grabs. And so tarot helps us understand what's up for grabs, and you're doing it.
And I'd say what's up for grabs in my story, without getting into the whole plot of it, but sort of a redemption arc and the subject of reluctant villainy, that I do agree with. There's a Scandinavian bishop, his name's Hans Ernst von Balthasar, and he gets into this whole thing about reluctant villainy, and that even some of the worst people, the most bad, and there's a lot of bad seeds in my story, and even my character, yes. I wouldn't say that my character is a good guy. I wouldn't say that he's pure evil, but he was definitely doing a bunch of stuff. It really wasn't that great. He made some mistakes, he screwed up, but there is a redemption arc, and that ultimately a lot of the bad stuff in our world, and especially some of the worst people, the bad people, they do it so reluctantly. Like, they still do bad stuff, but really they don't really want to do it. And then most of them, outside of like your pathological, you know, your dark triad, narcissists, sociopaths, psychopaths, or whatever, but they don't really want to do the bad things that they're doing. So I think that that's a positive, uplifting message, but yes, it's very deceptive. It's a dark comedy, it's horror, it is kind of warped, and it's a choose your own adventure. So yes. I think that there's a lot of entertainment value in it, but I think there's, yes, definitely a positive message.
It is kind of warped, but there's a lot of good stuff in it. And yeah. I like the first part of the story the most, where you find the stone. And but it reminds me, the redemption aspect. I knew a woman, she's still out there, just a friend of mine, and she had some very terrible experiences in her life. And I asked, well, what are you really looking for? And she, without question, she said, redemption. And I would never have expected it from her, because she was a very materialistic, intellectual type of person. So I think most people do see that as their goal.
And that was me, definitely materialist, intellectual, agnostic, atheist type. And as I said it right at the start about the Fool tarot card, right, with that image of space, I'm ripping it off an illustration of Thomas Ligotti, like a portrait that somebody did of him. And yeah, it's a foolish perspective, and there's a lot of mystery in the world. There's just so many unanswered questions. Having that perspective of knowing it all, no, it's not really. Anyways, we got less than one minute here, so ta-ra, that was it. I think that went pretty good. I
think you hit the right note for finishing. And isn't it wonderful? You can't help but look at the universe, look at life, look at the world, and see that the mysteries are unfathomable. We can never know everything. And this is why atheism, materialism fails, period.
I never thought that I would turn into a weirdo mystic. Basically, I'd say I'm thoroughly confused, but yeah, good. Definitely more into the mystical stuff.
I understand full well.
All right, then. Well, thank you, everyone. That was certainly all a mouthful, but I think I enjoyed myself, and I hope you enjoy. And please, yes, visit our website, www.suncrosspublications. Well, if you're watching